Alright, I just want to do a quick little upload about some of my future plans with my Ultra Street Fighter 4 tutorial series. I got a request to do Ukizeme, but I think I'm going to put that off until August with the PC release of Ultra Street Fighter 4 so I can add in stuff about delayed wake up and how that affects everything. Um, my next videos are going to be about the juggle system, frame traps and counter hit setups, space control and corner control, and auto block. Like if you're blocking and it's a 2-block string and you mash buttons, you keep on blocking. I'm going to do them approximately in that order. I'm still playing Ultra Street Fighter 4 a lot, and now that it's been out a while, I've got a lot of things I kind of want to say about it. Um, I predicted that Ultra Street Fighter 4 would get a post-EVO balance patch, which has been confirmed. There are kind of a lot of bugs in Ultra and inconsistencies and hurtbox issues. It's kind of suggesting that the game was rushed for EVO 2014. They really want to get the game out like 2 months in advance so that people could actually get enough time to practice it. I feel like no attempt was really made to make DJ more viable. I feel like Seth was ridiculously over-nerfed considering he wasn't even the best character in the game. And I feel like Cody didn't really get anything new to play with. Mostly just fixes with broken elements of his character. I don't think any character is too strong right now. A lot of people are complaining about Kami still being good, Akuma still being good, and Yun being especially good now that Daigo said anything about it. But whatever, Daigo's a better player than me, so maybe Yun is slightly worthy of a nerf. Um, all the new characters, except Poison, in my opinion, are a little bit lacking and need them stuff, not necessarily to make them higher tier, but just to make them more complex. In particular, I play both Elena and Hugo in Third Strike, and I have a lot to say about how both of them compare in Street Fighter 4. That being said, they're both a little bit defective characters in Third Strike even. Elena in Third Strike has a really good car throw, while in Street Fighter 4, I've tried every button I can think of. I think she might have a car throw off of her slide, but doing a car throw down forward roundhouse into standing throw is really, really difficult. That was one of her really big edges. That was one of the main reasons to pick Elena in Third Strike was that she had a really good car throw, and then she had really good overhead and low mix-ups. Those are still present, but I find the speed in hurtbox is a little worse in practice. It might just be a while for me to adapt to her normals. Her jump in Street Fighter 4 is based on her super jump in Third Strike. In Third Strike, her normal jump would be about the level of the regular characters, while her super jump would go really high and not very far. In Street Fighter 4, in practice, that means she can predict fireballs and jump forward and still get hit by anti-airs, which was true for Chun-Li in previous versions. All of her air normals would be really useful, like her 2-hit stand roundhouse, which if you only get 1 hit, it sets up Ultra. They would be really useful, but her jump arc is just absolutely terrible. Like, none of her air normals go down, and since she jumps higher than everyone else, it's almost impossible to get the first hit only of jump hard kick in air-to-air situations. None of her air normals... Well, hold on. Both jump-in... Because none of them go down, both jump-ins and air-to-airs are just really difficult. So it kind of makes all of her jumping attacks really useless, which makes it so she pretty much has to stay grounded. The only real use I found for jumping at all is doing neutral jump, hard punch, or hard kick to prevent an opponent's approach, which are both pretty good, actually. Elena's only standing hard cancel is fierce. Her only hard cancel at all. In Third Strike, she didn't have hard cancel. She only had low strong. But hard cancels are her only way to combo into medium Rhino Horn, which is her only way to get substantial damage without using an EX bar. Stand Fierce has a really, really terrible hitbox, and it's really slow. For example, it's often difficult or impossible to combo after a focus attack. Like if you do the focus attack, they crumple, you dash in, you hit Stand Fierce, and it just whiffs over their head. Or if after a jump in normal, you do jump fierce and then do stand fierce, and it just whiffs over their head. So the opponent's recovery in getting hit, or even just their recovery in moves. Like if Ken does Ultra 1 and goes into the air, Viper does Ultra 1 goes into the air. When they're landing, they kind of land in a crouch, and I've like whiffed stand fierce over people's heads while they're coming down. And I can't even do a focus attack to guarantee an ideal hurtbox because it doesn't work after her focus attack. I know in the beta, in the arcade version, she had a cancelable Crouch Fierce, which was much faster and had a better hurtbox. And they removed it in development, which makes me think this was actually intended. But it's really frustrating, and it makes the character a little bit less fun than she should be, I think. Elena's EX Rhino Horn damage should probably be redistributed, too. Because it gets next to no damage when it's going through fireballs. The last hit only doesn't do very much damage at all. and it doesn't hit crouching opponents properly, which normally isn't a problem for anti-fireballing, but Sagat's low fireballs are really frustrating to deal with, which is also the only fireball you can't slide through. And again, jumping over them is suicide. In third strike, Elena's EX Rhino Horn was a really good anti-air, and actually a really good anti-cross-up too, and it would lead to a juggle state. And losing that lost a lot of, I would say, her fun factor. I'd love to see it in Street Fighter 4 if she could do mid-screen EX Rhino Horn, or like EX Spin Scythe, EX Rhino Horn, then Scratch Wheel. That was a combo in third strike that was really fun to do. And she had a lot of corner combos that were really cool that are no longer possible, like EX Spin Scythe, Forward Spin Scythe, Uppercut. For some reason, her EX Spin Scythe just doesn't, it barely launches the opponent in corner, so you don't really have anything to do except Ultra 1. But if it's got enough time to Ultra 1, there's really no reason it shouldn't just launch a little bit higher. As for Hugo, I feel like the first thing to mention is normals are completely terrible. They were terrible in third strike too. Stand strong, stand crouch forward. His shorts and jabs, they all feel about right. They're good, and his stand fierce is really good too. But the rest of his normals are just like completely terrible. I really abhor useless normal and consider like half his normals just completely broken and defective. Crouch Fierce and Stand Roundhouse are just awful. Crouch Fierce like barely anti-airs. It's really slow. It's very punishable on block or to whiff. And Stand Roundhouse is an overhead, but it whiffs on crouching opponents, so it's even worse. Plus, you can't steer it anymore. Like in third strike, you could steer a Stand Roundhouse, but it still wasn't good in that game. Towards Fierce, it has very minor situations where it's useful. Like if you trade with it, you can do like an anti-air backbreaker to combo. But it's really hard to trade with it. And Crouch Roundhouse, in third strike, it was a low and then an overhead if it was far enough away. But now it's just an overhead all the way throughout, which actually makes it one of the fastest overheads in the game. I'm actually kind of okay with the new Crouch Roundhouse, but it's different. I don't know. It's fine. They could leave that one. All his damage is completely ridiculous, so it's sort of a dangerous road patching him. For sure, you can punish his already. You can get like 450 damage for 1 bar, and after a level 2 focus, you can pretty easily get 500 with 2 bars and Ultra 2. And he has several match-viable 600 damage combos, so his punishing power is definitely there. He also has he's better at chasing down backdashes than T-Hawk is, and T-Hawk's sort of the most comparable character. So once he gets in, he's arguably got sort of a more broken mix-up than T-Hawk. Well, than T-Hawk did. I don't know about new T-Hawk. New T-Hawk's probably better up close. It's hard to say. Hugo didn't have cancelable Crouch Strong in third strike, but he got it in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and I feel like it gave a lot of personality to his character. It seemed to create a lot of bridges between his otherwise really stiff and barren moveset where nothing really combos. It does, right now, Crouch Strong does like 110 damage or something completely ridiculous. Maybe it could be lowered to like 60, and it could combo to Light Clap like it did in Cross Tekken. I know that would make him pretty broken as is, so I'd much rather have a Hugo balanced around cancelable low strong than the sort of clunky terrible third strike Hugo that we have right now. And it's also enormously too hard to clap fireballs compared to third strike, and it's really unrewarding. Like if you're Hakan, you can slide or EX slide or focus through fireballs if you're oily, and then just make the focus safe by whiffing like a crouched short or something like that. Geef can predictively green hand them, and then he gets inside. Hawk can jump even up and then dive on reaction to a fireball, or he can EX spire through them. All of them are rewarded by advancing or even hitting the opponent. And Hugo, when he claps a fireball, he doesn't get rewarded for anything. And it's really difficult to do as well. And Hugo really suffers against fireballs. If he got a little bit of forward movement after a clap, after like the medium or hard clap, and he could use it to like slowly advance, that'd be kind of cool. Or if he could use the EX clap to destroy EX fireballs, that would be kind of good. Like if you had a little bit of fireball invincibility until the active frames, like Rose EX Reflect. But that would still be a little useless. Hugo's really demolished by powerful fireball characters like Jury, Guile, Sagat, Dalsim, and Goken. And his only really good answer to fireballs is super, and it's really difficult to build a super meter at all, let alone full screen with Hugo. And it's comparatively easy to build an ultra meter when dealing with fireballs from full screen, so it would have been really nice if it was one of his ultras that was Hammer Mountain, while his super would be something else, maybe the 720. If clapping a fireball gave you half an EX bar, like Rose's Light Reflect, I know they would never do that, but if clapping a fireball gave him half an EX bar, it would really help him in fireball matchups, without really helping his other matchups at all. I don't think Capcom would ever do that, since in their minds it would devalue fireballs too much. So what I expect they'll do is either leave him terrible, or power up his EX Lariat to be as instant and far-reaching as his super. but make it more unsafe on block. Um, for what it's worth, Hugo really does have one of the best in-close matchups in the game, but it's already balanced by how unsafe all his options are, so I don't really know if he needs to have trouble getting in as well. That's really all, just my impressions on those characters and how I would go about rebalancing them.